The key technologies that we see driving change in the enterprise are part of what IDC calls the third platform, focusing on four key technologies: mobile, cloud, big data, and social, which it really represents the new era of IT.
I think that probably one thing that truly surprises me and has surprised a lot of people is the rapid uptake of cloud computing as an alternative to conventional enterprise resources.
As they go towards the next level of digital transformation, they have the inclusion of mobile, big data and social as an engagement and analysis tools, and cloud as the underlying architecture for them. Now, as they go through this, they got to understand what does it mean from a process and change management perspective.
I think it really represents an example of the new type of IT structure that needs to be put in place to deal with the market dynamics that are evolving so rapidly.
Any effort to make the environment simpler to install, simpler to operate, and simpler to integrate will pay off in terms of customer satisfaction, getting more widgets built with your technology out there in the market.
Well, the notion of Linux containers has really kind of emerged in 2013 and is establishing itself in 2014.
So Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 does enable a higher level of automation, and it makes it simpler from a management perspective for customers to actually deploy their applications. Specifically speaking on the containerization element, which Red Hat has taken to the next level. Having said that, there are a couple of things which they must ensure to evaluate. The first thing is on the migration journey, second is on the stability of the containers, and third thing is the concurrency of application workload which these containers overall under Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 that they can support.
What these application containers allow you to do is to dramatically drive up the density of the virtual machines that run on a physical host.
Well, OpenStack seems to have emerged as one of the top players in the private cloud and the hybrid cloud, and also in the public cloud market from service providers.
Red Hat has become the top contributor to OpenStack.
Red Hat's open source orientation and its inherent openness gives customers confidence in terms of their longer term investments, and not only confidence from Red Hat, but the community as well. I think that's an important point.
The capabilities like in-place upgrades, server profiles, and vastly improved monitoring and real-time monitoring, data collection, and remote management capabilities and APIs, all of those things speak to a momentum to reduce operating expense and make the whole installation deployment easier for the people who have to do it and commensurately more convenient for the people who have to consume it.
So we really think that there will be interest in the new version both now and in the future.
Welcome to the Redefining the Enterprise Operating System virtual event. We are very excited that you've joined us, and we are thrilled to announce the general availability of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. From the beginning, we really had a very different way of doing things with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Linux started in the hobbyist world, and we knew that this was something different. We knew that Linux was something different, and we knew it could go much beyond the hobbyist world. We embraced a new business model from development with the open source development model to licensing to subscription, a model that put customers first. And then we went after the most demanding industries out there to prove to ourselves and to the world that that model actually was the one that was going to work. We knew that all the Unix guys had been doing it wrong for all these years. And the first customer base that we went after to try to help us prove this was the most influential big banks. Why did we do this? Because they had the hardest problems to solve. And what did we bring to the table for them? We gave them the competitive advantage with the significant cost savings. And by 2004, we had 8 of the top 10 global banks as customers of ours. And customers were starting to see significant success with RHEL. So for example, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange doubled their daily trades and cut hardware costs by 50% at the same time, all because they were running on RHEL. When we got to the next phase, and the next phase of the market to hit, we went to the governments. We began to focus on the governments and other places in the market where security was really of the utmost importance. The U.S. government came to us and asked for help initially. They did that because the traditional Unix guys had always not listened to them. So we worked with the customer base there. We worked with them to make Linux secure through SE Linux, instead of making a second-class secure OS like the Unix guys had done for the previous 20 or 30 years. And we also, at this point, started to make Linux consumable by the masses, consumable by the industry segments that maybe weren't as technically savvy as the banks and the governments in those phases of the market. And then at this point, when we started to really get out into the masses, the telco industry started to really get interested in the power of Linux. They did this because they really needed scale for the diverse workloads and rapid growth that they were trying to address. So once again, we worked with them to bring carrier-grade functionality to Linux. So we can get this straight, not a separate carrier-grade OS, but instead we helped drive and make Linux carrier-grade capable. That was just as important like at the banks, one operating system for multiple applications. And the open source development model is really what allowed us to do this. We could not have done this in a traditional proprietary model. It was only because of the open source development model that we were able to do this with our customer base. One of our early customers in this space, Qualcomm, they experienced a 600% growth rate with their servers running Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and later achieved an even higher resource utilization by bringing Rev on top of RHEL to run in their environment. Red Hat became the standard where technology was seen as a competitive advantage. We became the standard because we had a different way of doing things and what we brought to the customer. Specifically, what we brought to them was state-of-the-art technology, faster and with higher quality because of the open source development model. Once again, we could not have done this without the open source development model. We also brought the subscription model to protect their investment so they could consume this faster rate of investment, this faster rate of technology with one investment along the way. And probably one of the most important things was the life cycle. We brought them the life cycle to keep their business running as they consume this new technology. Part of that was a robust ecosystem to ensure that the OS, it just worked with any new hardware and software that just came out of the box. This was very important for all aspects of that. This was really the turning point for open innovation, and RHEL was just the beginning of that. Since then, we've opened up every layer of the stack over the past 12 years, from middleware to virtualization to cloud management, with RHEL as the foundation. Infrastructure development is now done primarily on Linux. What I mean by that is new technology, innovation, development in the infrastructure is primarily done on Linux, and it's been that way probably for the last 5 to 10 years. All the way from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service, RHEL is at the heart of it all. With infrastructure as a service or OpenStack, it's built on Linux. It's dependent on Linux, and it moves forward with Linux. The cloud could simply just not have been built without Linux, period, end of story. And RHEL 7 takes the open hybrid cloud to the next level, with RHEL combined with middleware to bring us PaaS and then XPaaS. We bring these new products to the market. We bring these technologies together to give developers the tools to truly be productive and innovative in this new wave of infrastructure. We also saw the need to bring together IT ops and developers, and this has really been the beginning of DevOps. Infrastructure as a service plus platform as a service managed by cloud forms is just essential as we move to this new architecture. The cloud would not exist if it weren't for Linux and the open source development model, and the infrastructure of the future is just built on it. For one example is Amazon. Amazon uses all this type of technology in their infrastructure to scale and now major customers want the advantages that they've built with that in their own environment. We're 12 years later, 12 years downstream, and only 2 operating systems remain relevant. More than 90% of the Fortune 500 companies use Red Hat, with 13,000 plus certified applications on RHEL and 4,000 plus certified compute platforms under RHEL. And all of our solutions have inherited that RHEL ecosystem. This is very important as customers move to the new architectures of the cloud, of infrastructure and platform as a service. Inherited means that as we move to those new platforms, all that ecosystem comes with it. But despite all of that progress, you will hear a lot of FUD out there today around the operating system. What is its role? Well, what I can tell you is that the application is king. The application is king to getting to the cloud, and the OS enables the application to get out to the cloud. That's just the way it works. The application runs on top of the OS. That's the vehicle to get to the cloud. The OS is really the heartbeat for that. Open hybrid cloud is the architecture of the future. From physical to virtual to private to public cloud, RHEL enables all of these footprints. RHEL gives the application the stable, consistent platform across these 4 footprints, and this is the open hybrid cloud. This is and was the design point of RHEL 7, getting the application that stable platform on those 4 footprints for the application's journey out to the cloud. And it's also powering the next generation of companies. We can't do this alone, though, and throughout the history of RHEL, we've embraced a partner ecosystem to help us deliver value for our mutual customers. Let's hear from a few of them now and have them talk about how they're moving with RHEL out to the cloud.
I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7.
We think this is probably the most significant launch since RHEL 4.
Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 is a new breakthrough in mission-critical capabilities.
With new version 7, customers that are looking for the very best in performance are going to get it.
The partnership between Intel and Red Hat has let us extend our testing and use of the ecosystem to create valuable solutions on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7.
How do we see RHEL 7 enhancing our customer value? Is very simple.
With RHEL 7, customers are going to get more performance and flexibility than ever before. The ability to run more different types of applications than ever before. They get larger memory capability and larger database size. That gives them the very best in performance.
There are many new features embedded in the kernel and in the packages and the distribution as a whole.
What's really cool is the container approach allows for accelerated application delivery. Enterprise customers love it because it speeds deployment and stands up IT environments even faster.
It represents a complete value chain, not only the product itself as Linux, but also the service and support aspects.
It's a total incorporation of all the things that have happened in 5 and 6, and also upgraded to make it more application friendly and easier to use, and actually make it the best platform to deploy applications on.
IBM and Red Hat have been working together for 15 years on important customer needs to deliver terrific performance and terrific Linux capability together.
By working together, we create a much more solid solution. By listening to customers, we know what problems we're solving. By working at a solution level, not just a technology or an operating system level, we're able to address the key needs of the customers.
Red Hat has great credibility already with enterprise customers. It has a tried and true approach to delivering open source capability.
The best part of the relationship is the indivisible nature of us working together to deliver the best solution.
This release of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, specifically version 7, really sets a new high bar on what we would consider an enterprise class operating system. This really makes viable solutions running on RHEL rival the biggest of operating systems that we've seen in the past on Big Iron and Unix in particular, so we're very excited about it.
Great to hear from our partners. They've been an important part of our joint process for over a decade. Let's turn our attention to customers. You know, it's an interesting time where IT organizations and building data center solutions has never been more strategic to an enterprise or a mission. But at the same time, most will report that as much of 80% of their budget is being consumed by just taking care of the legacy systems they have and, if you will, lights-on operations. And so the challenge is, how do they be agile and respond to all the great new opportunity like big data and analytics or cloud computing and the line of business applications that the businesses or the mission requires? So the challenge the IT organizations are facing is, how do they make smart choices around their architectures and their strategies? That really sets the stage for understanding that status quo is the enemy. Just continuing to pursue strategies by momentum of what's been done in the past is not going to yield different results or really deliver the flexibility that they need. And so really looking at how to make the IT staff more capable and more efficient, how to ensure that the operational costs, not just the acquisition cost of the technology, really makes them efficient over time, and all at the same time ensuring that the data center has the levels of security and reliability and performance and robustness that is expected of enterprises or mission-critical computing. So this journey is not brand new with RHEL 7. This is a journey that's been underway for over a decade. And so at the early days of Red Hat Enterprise Linux at 2.1, shortly followed by Red Hat Enterprise Linux 3, an alternative was created together with Intel's x86 architecture to what was proprietary and very expensive data center solutions prior to that. And so the ability to start deploying and choosing a different architecture and a different approach to gain both technology advantages and economic advantages really was the beginning of our journey. At Red Hat Enterprise Linux 4, the robustness and the features of RHEL really started to really widen to a point where any data center application could find a platform in RHEL that could fully support as a host and a foundation to that application in all vertical markets around the world in all geographies. With RHEL version 5 and with the KVM hypervisor technology, which is actually engineered as a part of the RHEL kernel, we now find that RHEL is a host operating system and is also serving as a guest operating system in virtual data centers. And now RHEL is providing a solution for data centers in hosting applications both on the physical memory or physical servers as well as in virtual memory environments and virtual server environments. And finally, we start to see with RHEL version 6 the performance capabilities and scale of the x86 hardware and the performance capabilities, reliability capabilities, and management capabilities that are in RHEL 6 have now scaled to a point where there is no application that RHEL and x86 cannot address in the most mission-critical data centers like stock exchanges, financial trading solutions, and the like. And even at this point, we're starting to see the first early clouds be built on and with Red Hat Enterprise Linux as a foundation. So today, we're announcing the next big step in this journey of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. Now, in that story, we now find that 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are now deployed and running Red Hat Enterprise Linux, as well as other Red Hat technologies, because they had been seeking alternatives that brought more agility, more flexibility, and more economic opportunity to their data center solutions. But at the core, there's always three fundamental tenets. The first being stability. You can never trade off the need to have a stable, robust platform with the right levels of performance and reliability and stability. And so as we looked at RHEL 7, that continued to be one of our three cornerstones. At the same time, we continued to look at how can we enable and deliver flexibility across the modern data center in all deployment environments to allow the application to find the host environment for execution, no matter whether it's deployed on a physical environment or all the way out to a cloud, either private or public cloud. But in all of this environment, the third pillar or tenet was certainty, of ensuring that the security and robustness of the operating system was providing that environment for applications that are required for these mission-critical computing environments. So as we look forward, we've been on a journey with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 since December. In December, we started the beta testing process. And to us, quality is absolutely the #1 objective through the hardening and engineering process that we take the operating system through. And so in this process, we've had over 60 high-touch beta customers, very large, significant enterprises around all the geographies of the world, join us in helping to exercise and test the operating system for quality. But beyond that, we've had over 10,000 downloads by the broader customer, partner, and community partners, helping us to ensure that the quality and robustness of the operating system is what it needs to be. And as you can see on this slide, we've received some great feedback from IT administrators and developers and architects and the customers and partners that participated in this beta test process. One of the often asked questions is how fast would we expect RHEL 7 to be adopted? And in fact, we asked our participants in the beta process what they thought, and you can see here that over 60% of them responded that they saw beginning deployment of RHEL 7 within the first 6 months from today, our launch time. So we think RHEL 7 may actually be one of the most quickly adopted operating systems that we've released yet. With over hundreds of features being added to the operating system, I've chosen just 6 quick stories to share with you about some of the capabilities that are in RHEL 7. But just to go back to those 3 core tenets, everything we talk about here is founded on the notion of scalability and security, in fact, military-grade security based on SE Linux, that is a core part of RHEL and a core part of RHEL 7. But along with that comes both flexibility as well as stability and efficiencies as the 3 core themes around new features. So looking at flexibility, we're introducing containers as a supported capability in RHEL 7, and we're working very closely with the Docker open source project for developer tools and the ability to create Docker-compliant images that can be hosted and executed in containers. We also are realizing that with data centers being a large mix of 2 operating systems now, both Windows and Linux, Windows interoperability along with RHEL is an important theme in RHEL 7 as well. A great example is Active Directory and security domains. So RHEL 7 out of the box can participate directly into an Active Directory security domain. Another great example is operating systems have boundaries. And with the file system technology, our default file system of ext4 can scale to 50 terabytes. But in RHEL 7, we're adding XFS as a file system, in fact, the default file system, which will scale to 500 terabytes and even provide better performance than in the past. And so we provide choice for customers of a range of file systems, but XFS will now be the default file system. Performance is a key area where as the IT administrators install and deploy RHEL, they can choose from one of several performance profiles. Currently we have 2 as a great starting point for tuning the operating system for performance. And then we provide additional tools that allow the IT administrator to very easily fine-tune the performance of the operating system for maximum throughput. Another key area is the overall environment of installing, provisioning, and deploying the operating system itself. And with System D and a whole new way of approaching the way that the operating system is organized, we've added great efficiencies in the way that the operating system can be installed and deployed. And for those customers that have large deployments already of RHEL 6, there's an analysis tool that allows them to look at a RHEL 6 server, run a report, and gain insights into the steps to take to migrate from 6 to 7, and even in some cases automate that step. And finally, managing the running data center, the operational cost and efficiencies perspective. We've provided support for the Open LMI standard and architecture, which allows for the provisioning and management across a dynamic data center. So another great tool to bring more efficiencies to the IT administrators. Now, as we think about what is a modern data center look like today and what's the role of the enterprise operating system in that, we have a range of deployment environments from physical servers, and of course running operating systems is still very important. There we work closely with Intel and our OEM hardware partners to ensure RHEL is fully tuned and able to support the latest chip architectures and hardware architectures. Moving to RHEL as a guest, running in virtualized data centers, now also being able to take advantage of containers and another way of gaining more scale and efficiencies in the data center. Moving to Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack platform, where we've engineered the complete host, OpenStack, and guest environments into a seamless solution in our OpenStack offering. And finally, the cloud environment, where we can offer Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack platform for service providers to use as a host, and of course RHEL running as a guest. And across all of this modern data center picture, RHEL is providing a 10-year life cycle, is providing stability of APIs, and a promise that this is the robust environment, if you will. It's the heartbeat underneath which the applications can come to count on for their infrastructure. So as we think about the portfolio that we have for our customers, Red Hat Enterprise Linux as the core operating system offering for on the metal. And this also continues to have a desktop and a workstation variant for our client customers, as well as being available for embedded solutions. We also have a new edition of Red Hat Enterprise Linux that will be coming at a later time called Atomic Host. And in this edition, it's a lightweight version of the same Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system, tuned to run container environments. So this is the lightweight version of RHEL, but it's the same RHEL as we've been talking about. We also have our Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization product technology, where the hypervisor, as I mentioned, is actually engineered as a part of the RHEL kernel, and it can provide the virtual data center fabric for hosting RHEL as a guest. And then finally, as I mentioned, we have our Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack platform for really deploying the flexible and agile private cloud and public cloud type environments. To go back to what we talked about at the beginning today, the IT organization has never been more strategic than they are at the moment, but at the same time, they've never been more challenged to do more with less. So with RHEL 7, we take a great step forward in providing a modern data center operating system that redefines what the enterprise operating system's role is in providing the platform that hosts applications in all of these environments. Now, as we transition next to our next video, we're going to share with you how RHEL is the foundation to the trading platform at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And in fact, RHEL is the foundation of their cloud strategy. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange has been one of our close partners during the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 beta test process. And here next, I invite you to listen to their experiences with RHEL and with RHEL 7.
So CME Group is the world's leading and most diverse derivatives marketplace, and that means that our customers can trade futures and options on futures on our platform. What makes CME Group successful and innovative is our focus on quality. So we've built, using Red Hat Enterprise Linux, a lot of critical electronic trading systems, and our customers expect us to be available, so reliability has been a big part of it. We wanted to be involved in the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 beta program because we wanted an early peek into what was coming, but we also wanted an opportunity to expose our feature requests. And so Red Hat offered us the opportunity to make changes in the distribution to meet customers like ours needs. We are very interested in Windows support and interoperability. We want a platform-neutral way of supporting both Linux and Windows, so we're very interested in those features. So the value of working with Red Hat is that we need an ecosystem of third-party vendors who certify their products against Red Hat Enterprise Linux. That includes Dell and HP on the server side. We have SolarFlare for our low-latency networking. There's a rich ecosystem of vendors around the platform that shifts some of the burden off of us in terms of certifying that they work with the OS. We're looking forward to features that will allow us to do in-place upgrades to speed up the time it takes to patch our environment. There are new kernel features that we want to adopt. We want to get into a faster pace of adopting upstream features. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 gives us exposure to features like containers and Docker that we're very interested in adopting. Red Hat Enterprise Linux forms the foundation of our OpenStack deployment today, and we're looking forward to new features in RHEL 7 that will further support our cloud strategy. Our plans for Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 are to initially deploy to a test environment later this year, and we probably will see greater adoption in 2015. I can see us adopting Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 initially for our virtualization initiatives, where we'll use OpenStack and containers. Beyond that, I expect us to use it in low latency environments. We've been with Red Hat for the last 10 years because they've provided value, and they've been a strong partner of ours, and we're going to keep Red Hat on their toes, and we expect that relationship to continue.